There now.
All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Chicago Music Revealed. Of course, I'm Mike Jeffers, Chicago Jazz Magazine, ChicagoJazz.com, and the Director of Programming and Entertainment at the soon-to-be opening Epiphany Center for the Arts. Now, I know I mentioned all week that we were going to have a special announcement this Friday, but we're going to hold off because tickets are going to go on sale next week, so I don't want to get everybody excited. But if you go over to epiphanyShy.com, get the information, sign up for the newsletter, sign up for all of the, get all of the information that we're going to be sending out as far as our updated performances, which we're going to be rolling out 6 different music series every night of the week throughout the entire fall, COVID safe, and also on a live stream platform. So stay tuned for all of that information. But everything's at epiphanyShy.com, and check us out on Facebook, check us out on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. So next week, I'll have the announcements on everything. I promise. I promise. All right, now, this is a very special day, as usual, because it is Friday. And as we normally do here on the Chicago Music Revealed show, we always have our Chicago Blues and Beyond hit with a special co-host, Dave Katzman. And today, it is a very, very special show because we have the blues legend, Jimmy Burns, is joining us by phone. So I've got everybody on the phone here today. So let me bring everybody's photos up. Jimmy, how are you?
Fine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. And Dave, you there?
I am fine. Everything's good.
All right. All right. We made it through another week here. Thank God. Everybody's staying safe and
How
healthy.
about it?
Goodness. So,
Yeah.
as we normally do, I'm going to turn this over to Dave. But, Jimmy, it's an honor to have you on. And just, I've seen you play over the years, obviously, numerous times through Chicago Jazz Magazine. I've done a lot of business with Bob Kester when he owned Delmark Records. So your name always came up back then. So, I mean, it's an honor to have you on. And thanks to Dave Katzman for setting this up. So, Dave, why don't you take the
Sure.
reins on this and we'll kick it off here.
All right. Well, first off, hi, Jim. How are you again? Everything good?
Everything is cool.
All right. All right. Well, Jim, this show, there's a lot of people who are just getting turned on to the blues, or not. They, of course, have heard blues, but turned on to knowing some of the people in the blues. And what I kind of like to start out with is you give us a kind of condensed history of Jimmy Burns and how he came to be here at this point, Delmark recording artist in Chicago. So it's all yours. Why don't you give us a little insight?
Am I supposed to talk now?
Yeah, you are. I just asked you to kind of tell everybody who you are.
Okay, yeah, okay, here I am. Well, I first got introduced to Delmark in 96. When Bob, the owner, the president of the company, came down to Smoke Daddy down on the Vision, and I was playing with Rockin' Johnny and the Lazy Boys, and Bob liked me, and through Scott Dirks, we got hooked up some kind of way, and the rest of it is history. I'm still there.
Yeah. Well, I've had the fun of mixing with Mr. Steve Wagner, our good friend. I co-mixed a couple of your albums with him, and it was always great to go in and mix my friends. I can't think of anything better to do in the studio. But I was kind of asking how you got started in all this, and you came out of a kind of doo-wop and soul kind of thing, and a lot of people do not know that, and also don't know your ties to people like Curtis Mayfield and Major Lance and people like that. So if you can kind of sorry about that, but there's people that need to know this, Jim.
With people like that, I go back over 60 years.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, I'm still on the near north side, but more west. But I grew up around what they call downtown. Now, we didn't call it that back then. I grew up on the corner of Oakland Wells and Oakland LaSalle and Division, Kenmore and Armitage after I got married to my first wife. But I started out when I first got in the city 65 years ago, doing gospel music. I was living on LaSalle, Oakland LaSalle at the time, and that was in '55. So right around '58, I left gospel and joined a doo-wop group. Right around '59, the Medallionaires was the name of the group, and they had a record out on Mercury at the time called Magic Moonlight. I was like 16. I was the youngest member of the group, and in the neighborhood I lived in, I knew. I went to school with Major. His daughter now is the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we all lived in the same neighborhood. They were down in Cabrini, and I lived within walking distance about what? I live on Oakland Wells. They was down like around Hudson and Oak Street in Cabrini Green row houses, which is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they hadn't yet built the high rises.
The high rises, right?
Yeah, but anyways, I used to rehearse over on Elm and Orleans. That's where we used to have rehearsal. Everybody rehearsed there. And at Seward Park.
So they would rehearse outdoors, all the doo-wop there.
No.
Oh, really? Okay, go on.
You could get a room.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The director over there was Lobengula Mosley. And he would always give us a room, not on us, but all the neighborhood guys. That's what we rehearsed at. Everybody that I know of. Sometimes I would get a room by myself and just go in there and jam by myself. So there was a lot of room with that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. I don't mean to interrupt, but I was just curious. What part did you sing when you were singing doo-wop? What were you? Tenor, baritone? What were you?
I could do tenor and baritone.
Okay.
First, second, tenor. And with baritone, I still do that when sometimes when I record now, when I overdub my voice, I can do all parts. There's a song on one of my CDs, on the Nighttime CD, I believe it is. It's called 1959 Revisited. I'm doing all parts on it. On that one tune in particular.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, I don't know if you made music with him, but I know you were around him. What was it like to be around Curtis Mayfield?
Well, that was a different time, David. That was at the time I met Curtis. I think it was 59, right after Jerry Butler had split from the group.
Okay. And that's the impressions we're talking about for people who don't know.
Later Jerry became a big name, and VJ separated them, VJ Records. And like I said, they live within walking distance. He was down at on Oak and Hudson at 966 North Hudson. That's where he lived at, in the row houses. Because you had two types of row houses. One where you go up the steps to get in, and one where you go down the steps. Theirs were down. And so, I was just a youngster, everybody else talking about Curtis, and I met him and used to hang out, and we used to go to the same barbershop down Wells and Walton, Dreamland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the progression, when did you start concentrating more on guitar and blues?
Well, that's prior to coming to Chicago.
Okay.
I started that when I was like 9 years old.
in Mississippi.
playing guitar and open tuning.
Okay.
What was it? I think it was, I might have been 10 years old, 9 or 10, you both. When a lady had loaned my mother her guitar, and my mother let me play it, and I played it, but I was playing the open tuning. I don't know what the hell I was playing. It was easy because I never had lessons really, and I didn't realize you had different tunings until I went to another place and asked the guy to let me play his guitar, and I did. And I tried to do the same thing as I did in open tuning.
Didn't make any sense.
I had a rude awakening.
I'm sure.
It
Yeah.
wasn't the same.
Yeah, you got to tune those things, those valves up at the top.
So I didn't know nothing about that tuning. I learned that later. But
wow.
Yeah, so I used to play though when I was like about 18. I used to do like folk music. I used to play at they gave me a night at the Fickle Pickle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember. No, you too young to remember that.
Mike Bloomfield's place, right?
Huh?
Wasn't that Mike Bloomfield's club where he booked it?
I hear the names, but I didn't know who the guy was, man. I was just a youngster.
Okay.
And I remember talking to him, and I remember him saying, I never did get his name. I remember him saying, yeah, we're putting together a blues group. I said, what? Yeah. And I thought it was odd. I said, a white boy playing the blues? I said, damn.
He could play them too, man. Along with those other white boys, Muscle White and
huh?
Yeah. Well, it was Mike Bloomfield, Paul Butterfield, Charlie Musselwhite, Sam Lay was in that band.
Yeah.
And who was on bass? I forget. But that's the Paul Butterfield Blues Band who totally changed the history for everybody. I mean, opened up doors for the guys coming up from Mississippi in the South and opened up the ears of all the white kids out there to hear blues. I mean, it was like game changing.
Yeah,
so,
they could.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they could.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So when did you start though really concentrating on the blues in Chicago when you were up here?
Believe it or not, Dave, it was I'm a late bloomer in that. Because before that, I was like doing a lot of R&B. And I started with the blues. The first blues song I played was, I think it was by Frankie Lee or Frankie Sam, somebody, called Lucerne Blues. My money woman, boom, 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 boom. That tune. And that was the first tune. And this was back in the 50s. And I didn't really take the guitar too serious. I put it down for some years. It just was a front man on the vocals.
Right.
And I did that with the Medallionaires. I did that. It was just a vocal group. And then later in the 60s, like when I met Jeff Beck in 65, I was with a group called Fantastic Epics, who later became Rasputin Stash.
I remember them. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm still in touch. I'm still in touch with Paul Coleman. Matter of fact, he's always sending me something. Almost every day.
Wow.
Sending me
so what was the one tune? You recorded a 45. You recorded a 45 under Jimmy Burns. And it has kind of become a cult 45 over in Europe. I mean, you were telling me something about it going on eBay for some outrageous price.
That was a
surprise. What tune is
it? Not cutting you off, but now what happened with that tune? I did that tune in about 70, 71, called I Really Love You. And I did it with a guy by the name of Clarence Johnson, who was once a member of the Shylights.
Okay.
You see, all of us knew each other, and Marshall and all of them. We go back.
Mm-hmm.
We were teenagers. They're older than me now, only by a few years. Because I was like a youngster. I was like 16, 17. They were like 18, 19, like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that tune, what happened when we recorded it, they supposed to been placed it with somebody. In other words, with a regular record label. And later, I didn't realize, that nobody told me, that they had put it with somebody, and it had been a hit in Europe. That's how it became a collector's item.
Wow.
And for a minute there, it was going for like I don't know what it's going for now. It was going for like $6,000.
Whoa.
Damn.
Not
I need a single to go for that.
I didn't have any copies because it was an English DJ by the name of Mark Bignell told me about it. And at that time, it had been a hit for like 20 years prior to that.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So you don't even have a copy of that, do you?
I had a few.
Okay.
So, I recorded so many records that they didn't do anything. You have to remember, most of my success came as far as making money with blues.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because 45s, out of all of the 45s I recorded, I never did them live. It was always lip singing. And record out with Herb Kent, Herb Span and all of them, and Lucky Cordell, VON guys and other guys like that. And that's what we did. I appeared with a lot of people, with Smokey, and we were all doing the same thing. You lip sing your song.
So you go up and perform your song, but you're lip singing to your own
that's
track.
what you did, because you didn't have no band.
Right.
I mean, I even appeared with I don't know if you remember this girl. She's probably old now because she was older than me at the time. Well, I'm going back to 59. Anita Bryant.
Wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I can't picture that show. But yeah.
We were on the same record hop.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. With my group at the time.
Yeah.
Hey Jimmy, it's Mike. I'm gonna chime in real fast. Why do you think that is? Because you recorded so many of these records and you're touring and you're doing all this stuff, but you didn't really start to make any money until you really started doing the blues. Is it just because the record labels owned all the rights to everything and they were just keeping you in the dark on stuff? Or
that's just the way it was. I mean, we all have a story, and just about everybody out here can tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I recorded for Lenny Kravitz's uncle.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back in 68 or 69, the family name is Roca.
Mm-hmm.
From the Bahamas.
Yep.
Okay. And I recorded the tune. People thought I was Tyrone Davis.
Yeah.
No, well, Tyrone had recorded the stuff previously,
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's what it was. Everybody got a story to tell how we did something and didn't get paid for it.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the beast.
Sure is. It actually carried on for quite a while. It hasn't stopped right now, but I mean, the whole hip hop thing came out of house music, and all the house guys were totally ripped off. And, the blues guys were, and not to mention things like Elvis stealing Big Mama Thornton's song and getting a hit and stuff like that. I mean, it's never been a even game, and that's one of the reasons there's no record companies anymore. They kind of caught up with them.
Yeah, that's hard. No record companies and no record shops.
That's true too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I can remember when that was a big thing, record shops.
You know,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I was reading about when Bob Kester found you at Smoke Daddy, as you mentioned before, and then your first recording on Delmark Records like became a hit, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it
it
just
did.
took
It
off.
did.
I
It
mean,
did.
could you even see that coming back then? I mean, it's like you probably
No,
were happy to be on Delmark at that point, and all of a sudden it became a hit. That's
well,
amazing.
it was a thing where I never really tried to be a hit. Like not going out of my way. I
Right.
never not going out of my way, and I'm happy for it. But no, I didn't see that coming, and I was surprised and wasn't disappointed when it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
But that really
no, I mean, like I
blew
said, I've
that
been out here since professionally in secular music since 1958 or 59, and in gospel music before that
mm-hmm.
as a kid. But I never did do no recording in gospel. But I did my first record when I was 16, which was never released, but it's on my Delmark CD. I think it's the Nighttime CD. It is
Right.
1959 Revisited.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
That's a great CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original name was 2 months out of school. Yeah.
Is that because you were 2 months out of school, probably, right?
Well, we were talking about the school vacation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Right. Right.
and at the time I thought I was gonna be. That's why I don't get excited now.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I thought I was gonna be a big star and be like other guys. I remember seeing, like I told you when I did the show with Anita Bryant, and D. Clark was on that show. You remember D. Clark? The raindrops.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a bunch of other stuff. And I remember him, and he wasn't that much older than me, but I was born in 43, and he was born in the late 30s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a guy with he came to the set in a Cadillac and a pretty girl, and I wanted to be like that. But that was 60 years ago.
Well, it's interesting too because I mean, you're talking about that whole era. I mean, that's when what we call now the South Loop, but that was Motor Row and Record Row and everything was pop, and you must have been in the middle of all that, right?
I remember the record companies down there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going down to Chess Records because one time Curtis played behind us. This was with my group, the
Okay.
vocal group, and I remember as a solo artist hanging around Wonderful Records, which was Ernie Lena, and they had the
Right.
time Duto, Shaker Tail Feather, and
Yeah.
Hal Barrage, and McKinley Mitchell, and all of them. Betty Everett at the
Yeah.
time, and also hanging around King Records. They had a subsidiary here. That's when I met Sonny Thompson.
Hmm.
Sonny was Freddie King's road manager, and he was something like A&R man, and he was married to Lou Reed, but because she was the first to do Drown My Own Tears.
Oh.
Really.
Yeah, Lou Reed, Lula Reed. Then she and Freddie did some stuff together, and I was going to record some stuff by them earlier, but the record company didn't want to do it on the next CD. So that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I met a lot of people down there. I never did hang around VJ, but that was the
You
company
didn't,
before.
or you did? Yeah.
That was a black company before Motown.
Right. Right.
And that's where the Beatles did Sherry. Not the Beatles, Frankie Valley now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Sherry, and Big Girls Don't Cry, and
oh, they recorded it. He recorded it there. Frankie Valli and the Four
yeah, with
Seasons.
BJ, the Black Company.
Yeah.
First one they came, yeah. And the Beatles,
yeah, okay, records.
With them, but nothing ever happened with it. They didn't get hot until they got with Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
But now let me shut up and let you guys ask questions or whatever.
This is
no,
great.
hey man, you're doing fine. You don't have to shut up. This is great stuff. Back then, I mean, that was before my time by a little bit and by a bit. In fact, I saw the decline of chess records. I saw when they went into hibernation. And I always wondered about what it was like to be on, South Michigan, South Wabash at that time. And, it must have been electric, man. It really must have been. I mean, everyone was down there.
I was at both places, Dave. They moved from there to over by a little bit northeast.
Okay.
Off of 22nd with the new building.
Right, right.
Pressure plant and all of that over there in the studio.
So, did you ever hang at Cobra Records?
Cobra?
Otis did all this stuff? Cobra, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Cobra quite well.
Tell us about Cobra. Not a lot of people know about it.
Well, Cobra had, I think it was Magic Sam and Otis.
Right. Otis Rush.
I remember that, but I never had no dealings with him. And by me reading about it, this was at a time when Willie had a falling out with Willie Dixon, that is, had a falling out with Chess Records, and he went over to Cobra Records out on the west side, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, according to what I've read, I don't know this firsthand. I'm just going by what. Well,
Cobra was a subsidiary of Chess, but it was run totally independently.
I don't think it was.
Okay. I don't know, to be honest.
I don't think it was at the outset.
Okay. Yeah, because there was some cuts out of there with Magic Sam and Otis Rush that are just iconic. I mean, they really are seminal to all of the Chicago blues sound. I mean, of course, Muddy Waters and Willie Dixon are too, but when you get to the raw stuff, Otis and Magic Sam are pretty much where it's at least for me. Maybe I'm just talking a biased opinion.
I met Muddy at Chess.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Back when I was down there auditioning, I met Muddy and Chuck Berry.
Oh.
Wow.
Because they were both driving, I think they might have been 58 or 59 Cadillacs. And I remember Muddy had a powder blue, and Chuck had something like a hot pink. Yeah,
that's wild. That's wild.
And they were both very gracious. And I hung out with Chuck back in '64 in Old Town one night because they had a show out at Comiskey Park, and some shit broke out, and they canceled it.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first time I remember seeing Sam Cooke, Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
And Sam got killed that same year, in December of '64.
Mm-hmm.
And Stevie was just a kid, of course.
Right.
And Chuck never to get a chance to go on because they canceled it. So I used to hang out down in Old Town because that's my area. That's where
you grew up.
That's where I grew up at.
Yeah.
Up and down Wells Street there. And I don't know why people think all blacks from the South Side. I never was on the South Side in my life.
There's a lot of misconceptions about black Chicagoans across the board. A lot. Yeah.
No, but I went to school in Old Town. Was a monitor at up there on the corner there, all of that. And because I know I was talking to you once about the speech, you corrected me on it. what did I say? Gothic or whatever it was?
Oh, Gerda.
I can't remember.
Gertha.
Gerda, yeah.
Goethe. Goethe.
But
Goethe.
we called it Gothy.
Right. That's what it looks like when you look at it. That's what it says. But it's Gerda. Yeah.
Well,
My friends,
yeah,
that's what
it's
we
Goethe.
call it now. I never
Yeah.
knew Gertha. I said, what street is that? I said, what?
Yeah. Well, you
Pretty
used to,
amazing writer.
But me and Sammy Fender went to school up there together.
Sammy Fender.
226 West Gerthy.
Yeah.
Right across the
Is
street
Sammy-
from Yeah.
I'm going to ask this because I don't know, and it's kind of personal, but is Sammy still around?
Somebody told me that Sammy is in a nursing home.
Okay.
Because him and my brother, they graduated the same day. This was in
Okay.
1957. So
how old would Sammy be?
79 now, huh?
79? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him for a long time. I didn't know if he had passed away or he moved out of town or what.
I haven't heard anything about it, David.
Okay.
Not, but we all got to go.
No, yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. Well, wow, it's a lot of information, Jim. I love hearing this stuff. I do.
Well,
that's where I met Wayne Bennett up there.
Wow.
In the 60s, because I didn't know who he was, and later I found out he played on a lot of Chicago recordings. And then he ended up with Bobby Bland, because I knew Harold Barrage. I didn't know. I used to do shows with Harold, because Harold used to hang with Otis Clay and
Sure.
Tyrone Davis. It was a trio.
Right, that old circle.
They hung out together. They always.
Yeah, they did.
You saw one, you saw the other. There used to be a place on the west side called Curly's on Humming and Madison. And my brother played there with John Lee. So my brother was with John Lee again, because they first got together in 48.
Right. Well, the people don't know out in the audience that your brother played with John Lee Hooker. So, how long did he play with John Lee?
Well, he played with him from about 48 up until about 52. And then I think what's his name came in, my buddy.
Wow, Eddie. Yeah.
I met Eddie at my brother's house up in Detroit one year. Eddie was a nice guy. I loved Eddie.
Eddie was a sweet guy and kind of he would go on the road station wagon, and he had everything you need. He could set up camp out of there. I don't know how he packed it all into the station.
He told me about that.
It was crazy. It was crazy, man. He had so much stuff.
He could work on cars.
Oh yeah.
He didn't buy nothing he couldn't that he couldn't work on.
Right.
Somebody said he could carry engines around.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, there were a couple guys that could do that. Jimmy Dawkins, Albert King. Come on. Yeah, they could just take the whole.
Dawkins that well. I was in Japan with him in 2000, 2001. Him and my brother. And a piano player by the name of, maybe you heard of him, Nat Dove.
No, I didn't know that.
He played with everybody, BB, Freddie. He's still around. I hear from him just about every day.
On the Maxwell Street scene or hanging at the fish place, and all the guys like Johnny Littlejohn and Nighthawk and those guys.
Oh, Johnny Littlejohn, you say? Did you say Johnny Littlejohn?
I did say Johnny Littlejohn, yeah.
Yeah,
Johnny was a great mechanic.
I like
He's
Johnny.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, man, Johnny.
He was a good mechanic.
Huh?
He was a great mechanic. Talk about a guy who could take apart an engine. He was really good. If my memory serves me well, I don't remember everything, but
Johnny. Well, I like Johnny. Yeah,
he was a good man. Yeah. Did you know Robert Nighthawk?
Nighthawk, I didn't know him. I met his son. what was his name? He lived down there at my father's home in Lula, Mississippi.
Okay.
I met him. What was his name? Nighthawk used to like my sister, my oldest sister.
Okay.
But she was a young girl. But that's the way it was in the country. Old men like them young girls.
Has that changed?
Well, that's all over the world, though. But,
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different world.
yeah.
For sure. Probably better now. But,
So, no, I didn't know him.
You know, what's amazing, at the time from like the 50s to the beginning of the 70s, there were like these little groups of artists. You know, you got Tyrone and Otis over here. You got Nighthawk and Johnny Littlejohn over here. You know, you just Muddy and Buddy and Willie, you know, were there. You know, it's like different little groups that were responsible for so much music of blues and R&B, but they were like subgenre. Yeah, I don't want to get too crazy with this, but you know, so many. And then with Record Row, there was so much represented here in Chicago, and it was just I don't know. You know, when I came on it at the end of it. You know, in the late '60s, early '70s, and even what I saw just totally amazed me as far as the amount of talent. Blues.
You know what I also what I
soul.
remember about. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, man. I'm just trying to.
No, I'm just going to say also
get you to roll.
remember about South Michigan Avenue. It was like Motor Road too, because that's where they had a lot of dealerships at.
Yep.
Right.
I remember that. When I first got here, I used to walk a lot, and that's how I learned the city. You know, don't forget, I was so happy to get in Chicago. I had been wanting to get here, you know, out of the cotton field, because even though I got here when I was 12, I took to it like Grant took to Richmond. And I lived in a odd part of Chicago as far as a black person was concerned, because I was like next to the Gold Coast.
Right.
To the east, downtown to the south. Everybody called where I lived in what they call that downtown now. We didn't call it that at the time. And then to the west, you had Cabrini Green. And then it changed. They were tearing down when I first got here in '65 for the high rises. Because I think that was like an old Italian neighborhood, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, kind of the near west side of the Loop was also Ukrainian, and it was also Russian, and
right.
there was a lot of Europeans there. And
Old Town was like really used to be a German area at one time.
Right.
That's where Weissmuller was from, and Franklin Lane, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Taylor Street wasn't always a fancy, nice place to live. It was Italian, but it was like the Italians just coming over on the boat. And Maxwell Street was half Jewish and half black. You know, I mean, the city actually.
Yeah, you got to remember me coming from the South. I didn't know about different ethnicities. It was just white and black, and Chinese, some Mexicans. And now when you look at it, the whole thing to change. I had never heard of Ukrainians and never seen the Japanese, or you didn't see them in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, you saw the standard people who was probably predominantly Irish, German, Scotch, English, or whatever. I didn't know that at the time. And, you know, a lot of stuff I didn't know. I didn't know. And Filipinos and Puerto Ricans and other
This brings up something that I want to ask about, something you dove into. Maybe years or 6 ago, you started tracing your roots and proud in tracing your own heritage. Do you remember that?
I'm proud of that.
I'm intrigued by that. You know,
I traced mine. I got it now because, see, to be honest with you, I've never liked the word African American. I never liked that word because
Okay.
you dumping in a whole continent. You don't hear Germans saying I'm European American. Italians saying I'm European American. A Greek saying they mention the country.
Right.
So
Right.
now I can say I'm Nigerian, I'm
Okay.
Angolan, and on my mother's side, Cameroon.
Well,
Right
there you
in
go.
West Africa. And I can even mention to tell you the tribe. With the Nigerians, it's the Igbos from Biafra province. I'm so proud of that.
That must have been a hell of a journey searching out your lineage.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
so
I remember when you were doing it, and it's like every month you come up with something else about it, and it was like you were on this treasure, and you were on a treasure hunt, your own personal treasure. You know, it was very cool, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. You know, it cost me some money, but I don't care.
Well, what's money for? Is to fulfill life.
You know, I spent about $500.
That's not so bad.
No, I didn't care. You know, because now I know. And,
that's great, man.
Because I never believed all that other stuff that they taught. See, I'm a funny guy, man. I've been reading Black history most of my life. I don't went back like almost 6,000 years with Black history, all the way back to Africa, Egypt and stuff. And it's real deep. And
so you know about Queen Khalifa, right?
Queen who?
Queen Khalifa, who they named California after. The Black Queen that came with the Moors to California before people stepped out of.
No, I don't know about her, but I know about the Moors in Europe and Spain and Italy. They were there for
Moors,
years.
Yeah.
And,
that's something you might want to read about. Okay. Anyways,
like
we're giving. Yeah.
Hannibal came out of like Northeast Africa. They had like up out of Carthage, which is now modern day Libya.
There you go. You know, Americans take so much for granted. To think of a continent as large as Africa being one country or just being all the same. You know, I've been to Africa and in the country.
Well, a lot of people don't know.
Right.
One thing you'll find out, not cutting out, but what you'll find out, a lot of people don't know the difference between race and nationality. Like they'll say, well, no, he's not this. Or, well, I'm Puerto Rican. Well, Puerto Rican is a nationality, not a race. Under that nationality, you got on like us in the United States of America. We all share a common nationality because we're from this one nation, but we don't all share the same racial background. And a lot of people, they don't know that's what they get mixed up. Just like they get slum and ghetto mixed up. Slum is substandard housing. Ghetto don't have to be no one race, but it's predominantly one group of people, and it comes from Warsaw, Poland.
Right, well, ghetto.
Matter of fact, I was in Poland last year, and I went to the what's the name of it? The concentration camp. Huh?
I can't remember which one was.
Auschwitz.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man.
I was in Poland a little bit better than a year ago.
Were you playing over there? I mean, that's when you were touring, right?
Yeah, I was playing with a guy, a friend of mine in Katowice, Poland. I was playing harping guitar with him. Yeah.
Well, that's one of those great things because, you know, and we're getting close to the end of the show, so I want to bring it back a little bit into the music thing and just touch on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jimmy, you know, you've been talking about some incredible stuff, and I know everybody watching is just totally digging it. So I'm glad you've been talking about this stuff because this is history. This is like you're talking about knowing all of these different musicians, all of these different eras of music, and you're talking about your passion to find out about, where you came from and all of that as well. But the other thing is that I got Dave Katzman must have lost the connection, so it's you and me here for a second here, Jimmy. So, but but um, but the thing that is fascinating, I don't think a lot of people understand this, is that because of all the stuff that you were able to do playing wise, you're able to go tour and you're able to go connect with all of these different cultures, and you being very interested in learning about all these different cultures, it has to be fascinating to be able to tie everything together, because like what you said, you went to Auschwitz because you were touring in Poland, so you're able to go experience these things because of your music, right?
Yeah, because believe me, man, I was a very, very ignorant guy. And a lot of people get mad at that word, but that just simply means untaught, unlearned, uninformed.
Right.
Because I used to see people look like me and talk different. I said, this guy sounded like he ain't no black guy.
Right.
That's how ignorant I was. I didn't know. Until later, when I read Malcolm X, I put it together. Now, when I see black people, I put all of us together. Because I only associated the slave trade with the United States. But the United States was a small percentage according to Brazil and other places, right. Caribbean and all of that. I'm sorry, but go ahead. I just had to put that in.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, but it's fascinating to me, because if somebody is as curious and constantly studying as you are on all these other subjects, and then to be able to play and have those experiences, to be able to go and meet people throughout the entire world and really even learn the culture and get really ingrained in the culture. Because, when you're playing a gig, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, but when you're playing a gig, you're there, but you're in a town, or maybe you're traveling from town to town if you're in Europe, and you're really inside the culture differently than if you're a tourist, because you're dealing with locals. You're dealing with maybe a local band backing you up, or you're dealing with the local club owners, and you're inside of the scene, and you're meeting people that are appreciative of your music, and they probably want to hang out with you afterwards. So you're able to see a lot of different parts of a lot of these different cities and continents, as opposed to being just a tourist, right? Because you're able to really get ingrained in those cultures.
Oh man, I'm telling you, I was in like last year. I've been to Russia twice.
Mm-hmm.
I love Russia. I was in Israel for the first time. I love Israel. That was nice. I didn't realize it was so hot. I mean, my God, it was hot. This was like late May, early June. But I was in Tel Aviv, and right there on the Mediterranean, and they reminded me of Oak and Michigan Avenue. With Lake Michigan being across the street. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, they have beautiful beaches and everything. You wouldn't think that if you're thinking of Israel. You're thinking of it a little bit differently. But yeah, and the heat and the climate is totally different.
Right? Yeah, they told me, they said, this is the desert. I said, what? I didn't know. Yeah. And something else a lot of people don't realize, Israel is in Asia. Not Europe, it's in Asia.
That's why.
And another word, that's another word they misuse. They call everybody with slanted eyes Asian.
Mm-hmm.
Arab Asian, Indian Asian, that's Africans Asian. Anybody on the Asian continent.
Man, we're getting quite a lesson here, man. We're getting the music history and
no, but let me shut up and let you guys carry on what you're doing.
No, well, you know what? We're gonna wrap it up, because I lost Dave, because Dave's phone went sideways, and I can't get him back on. Actually, let me see what I can do. Let me try one. This has never happened before on the show, so stand by 1 second, Jimmy. I'm gonna put you on hold, and I'm gonna lock Dave in. So we're going to bring Dave Katzman back on. We're going to bring him back on live here on the show. We've never done this before. Trying to connect back in. We lost Dave. All right, now we got Dave. I'm going to merge everybody together again. And Jimmy, are you there?
Absolutely.
And Dave?
I'm here.
All right, we brought you back. Yep, we brought you back for the final wrap up. I
wanted to get in that conversation. That was going really good, Jimmy.
No,
I love it.
I probably talk too much.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Never.
But, hey, why don't we wrap this up, Dave? You got anything else? Jimmy, actually, why don't I bring this up before I turn it over to Dave? You know, during COVID and during all this stuff, I'm sure you're hunkered down a little bit, but are you able to connect with people? Are you doing any live stream stuff or Facebook things or anything? Because I know your Facebook page is facebook.com/Jimmy Burns.
I do a streaming thing every Saturday at 4 p.m.
Okay.
I'm streaming tomorrow at 4.
Right off your Facebook.
Well, that's very cool.
2, and I'm on
2, right. Right,
Yeah.
You get Jimmy Johnson, then you get Jimmy Burns. For an afternoon, Saturday afternoon, it's the best there is.
Jim is one of my favorites.
Well, yeah, I mean, you remember the times we've been on stage together, all of us, and it's been a ball.
I've been a fan of his since '64.
Yeah, wow. Well, hey, Dave, you got anything else for Jimmy? Because we've already been on for 50 minutes.
I really don't. I've just really enjoyed talking. That's all I can say to you. It's always a guest to talk to. You know that. I've got an anniversary dinner I've got to cook, so I got to wrap this up. And
well, hey, Jimmy, it's an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We appreciate it. Of course, everybody head over. I've got the link below, JimmyBurnsBand.com, but all the current stuff and his live stream show is on Facebook. So head over to Facebook.com/Jimmy Burns. You'll find him tomorrow at 4 p.m. And, man, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to catch up with you actually in person, but this has been fun.
Well,
I really appreciate you sharing all your stories with us. This has been a blast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, 100%. All right.
yeah, Jim, it's great.
Thanks,
Thank
Jimmy.
you, Jim.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right, Jimmy Burns. Dave, that was a great interview. And the first thing ever, it never happened before. We lost Dave Katzman in the middle of it, and I was able to merge you back in. So there you have it. Now
I'm so glad that happened. So glad about that.
Now it's your anniversary, so you need to get off the phone because you need to go start cooking and go hang out with your wife, Amy. So I'm going to let you go do that because nobody needs to sit here and listen to me babble anymore. So I will say goodbye to you for now, and then we'll be back on in I think in 2 weeks we're going to start the Blues and Beyond show. We might announce a new day for that. So Dave and I are going to talk about that. But no, the 14th we've got, who do we have? Nick Moss, right?
Nick Moss, yes.
Nick Moss. So we'll be on the 14th of August, and then we might change the date after that. So, of course, we'll make all these announcements next week and the week after. All right. Happy anniversary. Say hi to Amy and go chill out. All right. Thanks, Dave.
I'll talk to you soon, Mike.
All right.
You have a great night.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Wow. We had quite a show, man. Holy cow. Hopefully everybody really dug that entire interview. And, of course, there's a lot there, so you're going to be able to go back and archive this. Of course, all the information's up on ChicagoMusicReveal.com. It'll be up on Facebook, all that good stuff. And, boy, I just hope everybody has a great weekend. Everybody stays safe. Everybody stays healthy. Thanks again to Jimmy Burns. I cannot believe the great stories he was telling today. It was an honor to have him on, and thanks to Dave Katzman as usual. So hopefully everybody stays safe, everybody stays healthy, everybody stays away from each other, everybody wears a mask. If you like what you hear, please tell your neighbors, tell your family, call the grandkids. Chicago Music Reveal. We will be back here Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Everybody stay safe, and I will see you on the next broadcast.